Hello everyone, this is Frank DeFreitas and welcome to another week of HoloTalk for the week of December 13th, 1999. I have a request that I'd like to make to the HoloTalk listeners and had something happen here in the studio within the last week. You'll notice that my annual Santa show that I put up for everyone out there who has kids or just like Santa on their own as adults. I do that on HoloTalk for 1 week each year. It's been up for 2 weeks, and there's a reason for that, and the reason is that I accidentally trashed every HoloTalk show that I've done for this year so far. They are gone. I do not have any of the shows. In fact, the show that I had to go up that week was actually in the folder, and that was trashed as well, and I realize I can't get that one back. But what I'm wondering is there anyone out there who not only just listens to HoloTalk, but actually downloads the show and perhaps puts the show into a folder and keeps the past HoloTalk shows? If you are out there, would you please email me and let me know if you have any shows from the past season since we started right after Labor Day. And let me know what shows you have. If you just have one show, I'll take one show. If you have a bunch of shows, I'll take a bunch of shows. But send me an email and let me know if you have any shows that you could attach to an email and send to me. I'd like to get the archive page up. In fact, that's how I found out that they were missing, was I was beginning to add this year's show onto the archive page, and I had no folder. In the past, I've put everything on zip disks. The past 2 years, I have the complete collection on zip disks, but for some reason this year, since I started up in September, I would just take a show and store it in one of the folders on the hard drive. I have absolutely no idea how I took this folder and just trashed it, and it's gone. And what's really strange is I have Norton Utilities that file saver, which can allow you to go back in and retrieve the files, but when I do any multimedia production on the machine, I disable that, which is fine because you can turn it back on after you're finished with the multimedia production, and it doesn't use any resources for regular everyday use of the computer. But it does tie up resources and processing power when you have multimedia production going on, so I usually disable it. So I did not re-enable it after I did some multimedia production, and when I trashed it, it wasn't registered by a file saver, so I had no way of going back in and possibly extracting any of the files off of the hard drive that's there. So if you have one of the past HoloTalk shows, I would appreciate it, even if it's just one show. Maybe there's a number of you who have different shows that you liked and you kept. Could you send me an email and let me know, and we'll get those past shows back up. So needless to say, this week is just myself, and I'll be starting up guests again next week with the next HoloTalk show, which will begin on December 20th and run for the holiday week there. So we'll have a guest coming on next week. Other news, you may have been on the mailing list, you may not have been on the mailing list. You know it's my style here at HoloTalk for the past 2.5 years that I really don't sell anything on this show. I basically just do the show. But I would like to announce that Sam Savage and I are now in production of our laser units, and they are available, and this basically grew out of a request or a number of requests from different people involved with holography when we were working with our 35 milliwatt laser system that we put together, and specifically the power drive unit that's hooked up to the Mitsubishi 35 milliwatt diode. We got a number of emails from someone saying, if I paid you, would you put one of these together for me? So we thought, maybe we should build a few of these, and as you know, if you're on the email list, we've been working on this for a while. We have a number of different things available, a number of different options. I imagine there's 4 options, really, that you can choose from to have one of these inexpensive, relatively high-power laser systems to do holography in your own holographic studio or lab. We have a web page up now, DNS Lasers. We have someone working with us that's going to incorporate it, so we're going to be DNS Lasers Incorporated shortly. But there's a few different options that you can order. You can order the actual plans and schematic, which you can build the system yourself. The schematic is to the power drive unit that you can put that together. There's another option is you can get the power drive unit and a separate chip that we have inside of that power drive unit to power the laser diode. And you will need that chip with option 1 or option 2, but with option 2 you can order the chip with the plans at the same time. With option 1 you can order just the plans and then order the chip at a later time. Option 3 is a complete kit. All of the components that you need, including the 35 milliwatt Mitsubishi diode, along with the barrel and the collimating optics and everything that you need to build the drive unit yourself. Of course, option 4 is the fact that you can buy the completely assembled unit where you take it out of the box and you're ready to shoot holograms right away. So those things are available now, and I'm happy to be able to announce that. I'm not going to be plugging this on each show, but I just wanted to remind everyone that, we've been working on this for quite some time, and we're happy to be able to bring this to you finally this week. And we do have quite a bit of interest in that. If you're not on the email list, you can definitely get on that for further updates. I spoke with John Clayer earlier. Actually, I didn't speak with John Clayer. He sent me an email. I asked him to give me an update on what he's doing with the multiple laser pointer holograms, and he's still experimenting with that, and he's had some very nice results using several laser pointers to create holograms where their power is combined and a hologram is shot from that. What he's going to do now, he's moving off in a direction where he's going to buy raw diodes and attach the fiber directly either to the window itself on the diode or remove that window entirely and attach the fiber and have the laser light travel through the fiber in that way. So we're looking for some very exciting stuff with the fiber optics, and Steve Michael is working on fiber optic experiments as well. And we will have further updates on that as time goes on further HoloTalk shows. Also, Dave Hodges, Dave and I did speak today on the telephone for quite some time, and Dave has had excellent results, as he reported on the phone to me, using the Slavich PFG 03M holographic film. And you'll remember that we spoke on several past HoloTalk shows about using the PFG 01, which is a little bit more sensitive and probably falls into the sensitivity range of the type of holography that amateur and hobbyists do, because we're using relatively low power. If you're using a pointer, you're 5 milliwatts or below, or even 10 or 15 milliwatts is fairly low power. So the PFG 01 certainly fits into that very nicely, but what was really surprising about this is Dave Hodges was using the PFG 03M, which is not as responsive. Usually we would think that the exposure times would be much too long for low power helium neon lasers to give good results on that, but he said the shots that he has done with that emulsion so far has been absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And what's really very, very interesting about this is that he's working with 5 milliwatts in his studio, which he has in his home, and he eventually wants to do 8 by 10. So what he's doing with his experiments is he's taking the laser light and expanding that to an 8 by 10 area, and then shooting 4 by 5 film in that 8 by 10 spread. So basically what this gives him is an indication of how nice an 8 by 10 hologram would be without having to use the 8 by 10 film. And he's just praising, the results that he's had so far with this, and he is using let me check my notes here to make sure I have everything correct. He is using the GP2 developing regimen, which is available from both Photographer's Formulary and also Intergraph. And of course, the film is available from a number of locations as well, from Intergraph and from Fourth Dimension Holographics and a number of different places. But if you do go back to the link page that I have at HoloWorld, you can get a listing of different suppliers of that film as well. And I would be interested to hear from anyone else who's using the PFG 03M, because apparently it seems to be working out very well. His exposure time, he's saying, is about 10 times the exposure time of the PFG 01 using the PFG 03, and it doesn't seem to have that much of an effect, increasing that exposure time 10 times for him. So maybe something to look at. And he says the diffraction efficiency is so much higher. The holograms are so bright, they exhibit so much depth, that I think this probably warrants, a further investigation. And his development regimen, he suggests that you do not, agitate the film in the developer. What he did was actually just drop the film into the development tray and leave it sit there undisturbed for 15 minutes it took to develop it in the GP2 developer. So that's a little update on that. Another possibility with a very high diffraction efficiency and very good results using low power, 5 milliwatts on the PFG 03M, reported by Dave Hodges, who's been working with that. In fact, his results were from a laser spread that would have covered an 8 by 10 inch piece of film. So that's very encouraging. Excuse me. Not too much more news this week. So once again, if you know of anyone who could send a few of the past HoloTalk shows to me, I would be very, very happy to receive them and get them up on the archive page so that others can enjoy some of the past shows. And if I don't get a response from anyone and no one has the shows, then that's it. They're lost to history. Unless someone out there has them and is not listening to the show this week, and maybe a few weeks or a few months down the line, they would ask, where are the shows? And, I have a couple of them, I can send them to you. So we may not be at a total loss, but I'd appreciate it if anyone has a show to please email me. Let me know what shows you have, and then I'll make arrangements to receive those shows as attached files to emails from you. So once again, this is Frank DeFreitas. Thank you for tuning in to another week of HoloTalk. It was a short show. We had some interesting news on here. But we'll get back to our guests next week, and I look forward to continuing the broadcast well into the year 2000, bringing you news and information about the fields of lasers and holography. So I will say have a great week, and don't forget to tune in next week and every week to HoloTalk. This is Frank DeFreitas. Take care.